Hello, peoples of the internet. So today it is smoky air. You might be able to see a weird color. It's a yellowy color, and I don't know if you've ever had smoky air where you're at, and if you haven't, that's a miracle in this time period. But usually you can tell because the sun turns a very strange shade of red. And so, yeah, we have smoke rolling into the Okanagan Valley at this time, which in the last couple of years, this is actually, later in the summer to be getting the smoky skies, which thank God. I've been really appreciating the outside clean air up until now, and just sending out extra prayers for the forest and for the people and the plants and the animals that are in the area where the smoke is coming from. Boston Bar is where I believe it's coming from. We did have a fire in the west side of Kelowna, but it was put out pretty quickly. But the Lytton area, Boston Bar, has been suffering pretty severe fires in the last couple years, and apparently there's one there right now. So extra prayers to the Boston Bar people, plants, animals, air, earth, water. May they listen to their stomachs, and which is their intuition and their stomach brains, and may they be safe. In the room today, I have Evy. She is beginning to heal well, thank the gods. So her antibiotics seem to have done the trick, and she seems to be coming back pretty quickly, and still doing prayers for Evie and healings every night. So today I thought I would talk about a piece of information that was coming in a couple of years ago, and it's touching on information that's coming in presently. So for me yesterday, I started to feel quite a bit of sadness, and it started in the morning, and then it started to get pretty severe by the afternoon. And I was just paying attention to the thoughts that I was having. And for me specifically, at work right now, I am changing roles. So I'm leaving in my old role, which is trauma therapist, and I'm moving into a new role, which is manager. And for me, that's a big change. And so I knew a big change was coming. I sensed it quite a while ago. I thought that I was going to move and have the change in a move. But it turns out that I was just going to change positions. So I'm looking forward to it, and I am stressing about it at the same time because I've never really done managerial. But I guess in some ways, working with clients for as long as I have been in a leadership role. And in some ways, I've learned to be a good manager. And so I just think it's going to be a different experience, and obviously one that I'm needing in this time period as part of my growth and my expansion. So I am trusting that, and I'm excited for that. However, to move into the new position, I had to close out with all of my clientele, which was 26 regular people and about 4, 5, 6 maybe people from the past that I'm still sort of assisting. And so it's a lot of goodbyes in a very small span of time. And I thought I was handling it pretty well until this major sadness started to come up. And part of the sadness arising is that they have already put my position up at work, looking for a new therapist, which is good because it's extremely needed in our community. And so I guess that just made it a little more serious for me. But then I saw a new therapist that was coming in. I saw her sort of like resume / website. And like, she was pretty amazing. I was like, holy smokes, like she's awesome. and hopefully she'll be interested in the position, and hopefully, we'll work together. And I was very excited to work with someone like this. And I've actually been doing tons of prayers with the Godsource to bring in someone that was like appropriate, and also someone that does body work. And this person also does body work. But when I was looking at her page, I could feel myself doing some comparisons, like as in, oh, she's better than I am, and kind of feeling like another sort of bit of thinking that I could see coming up was like, did I do enough in these people's lives? Did I help enough? And really it's that space of like, am I good enough? And I think that's pretty normal when you're closing and going through sort of like a grief process. And I was just sort of loving myself in those spaces, but they were getting pretty loud. Some of these thoughts of being like comparison, that's what I'll call them. They were spaces of comparison. And it was reminding me, the Godsource was reminding me of a release that I had done a while ago in regards to being special. And special is sort of it's something that's encouraged in the slavery matrix. And being special was like, if you're not special, you're not going to get the love. In our childhoods, it was the special child. And in almost all childhoods, there was... because of the good guy, bad guy, savior complex, there oftentimes was, preferred children and then black sheep. And in my family system, I was probably considered a black sheep. But to my grandma, I was considered special. And she would oftentimes call me like angel and things like that. And so much so that with a preferred treatment, I got a lot of hate by the other relations. So my siblings, but also some of the cousins, and even some of the aunties and uncles. And well, mostly aunties. And like, it was never anything that I was purposely doing. But I did notice that, one thing the Godsource was showing me is that to retain special, you had to become a certain self. And for me to retain special with my grandma, I did have to be a certain self. And that if I wasn't that self, then I lost the position of specialness, which for me did happen when I was around 16 or 17 and started to come into my adult self from my child self. And I felt her severely withdraw. And I felt, a lot of like extreme sadness inside of me because I'd held that position for so long that it was a major loss for me. And I always just thought that she just loved me that way. But when she withdrew, from me for nothing that I had done outside of aging, I realized that it wasn't without conditions. And that had destroyed a piece of my heart at that time period. And I never trusted again that, that love was unconditional. And that was the wound space that the Godsource was clearing in me, because when you feel like you have to excel so much that you can become the special one, or you have to alter yourself or only be one way in order to be special, is very common in the slavery matrix and part of codependent existing. And it's a way to control and a way for that person to get what they need from the other, without giving it to their own self. And the Godsource was also telling me about special is part of the triangular way of existing, which means the one at the top is special, but everyone else isn't. And that's where it's really painful. That's why, it makes sense that, the cousins and, the other relations, my siblings, were angry at this, angry at me, which didn't make sense, but angry in general, which I fully understand, because they didn't feel loved because they were on the bottom half of that triangle. And the slavery matrix wants us to compete. It's about competition. It's that old idea that like the top dog wins or the top monkey wins. And the Godsource says that's not true. In freedom, in the freedom matrix, which is what we're creating, or the original state of humanity and this existence, that it's actually a circle and that everyone's equal within the circle. And when we clear that idea that we have to be special, then we don't have to work so hard to try to retain love from the external realm that we're neglecting from within. And so I could tell that these wounds that were coming up in this time period were connected to this idea of not feeling special. And it was showing me a whole bunch of things in the slavery matrix about trying to promote ideas of trying to strive for specialness, so that we're controllable, and so that we're buying into like pushing ourselves, pressure, and pushing ourselves to retain this level of specialness that isn't even a reality, because the Godsource said like special is not even really a reality. Uniqueness is a lot more accurate than special. And if you think of the word special, if you've watched my ABCs video, special is in that lower half of the alphabet, which means it's of the form realm. And special is something that people think they're doing a good thing when they tell your kid, oh, you're special, you know, and it's something that a lot of parents want to do. They want to tell their kids, oh, they're special, they're really going to do something, you're special, you know. And in reality, we aren't special in the way that we think we are, because it's a circle. We're all equal. And so that doesn't mean that different people don't have gifts and abilities and things that they're good at in this world, because in that circle, everybody plays a part and everybody plays a role. So, and the Godsource needs the experience, all of the differing experiences. So some people are going to be more gifted at certain things, and then other people are going to be more gifted at other things. And some people aren't going to have gifts, and they're just going to be good at like laughter or making laughter or things like that, which is another type of a gift. And we're meant to be like that. And it isn't about like being special. It's a false reality. It's a false truth. It's an S. And the S's can either be C's, which is of the high realm, like soul and spirit and spirituality, or they can be like low, as in the snake realm. And so I think special is one of the low realm words, because even if you think of gifts, so I'm gifted in the way that I have the ability to communicate with the Godsource and to receive messages and to have a gift of patterns and be able to see things that some other people can't see. And as an empath or an HSP, I'm able to sense and feel things that others can't necessarily sense and feel. So that doesn't make me special. That makes me connected. And everybody, and if you look at the word C, connected is a C word, you know, and so connected is closer to the Godsource. It's closer to the non-form realm or the etheric realm, and it's a higher frequency word. And connected is something that we can all become. And so I'm an old soul, And because I'm an old soul, because I've had a lot of existences, I remember some things that others don't remember. And that's why I'm sharing my videos, because I am sharing some of the things that I remember. And it is a gift to remember or bring wholeness back into one. So, so when I was feeling this sadness space, I let myself go down into it. I let myself access the sadness. And it was a major grief and sadness space. And as I was accessing it, it caused waves of sadness inside of me. And the waves had to do with like not feeling special and feeling not good enough and comparison and like pushing ourselves so hard to become something that even when we became it, we still didn't receive the thing we were looking for. And that was us altering ourselves for others to receive something that was never going to come from them. And as I held that space, I knew that underneath of this space was the I am doing enough. I am enough. But another part that was coming out of this space was I just am. I just am. So it's when I'm trying to achieve specialness, it's just like a pressure, it's like a pushing forward and feeling like the old way, like with the light workers and, you know, even in the energy communities. And that's Evie breathing. She's supporting me right now. But it's like we need to achieve more. In comparison, we should be achieving more. We should be doing more. I should be a better therapist. I should be doing a better job. I should be helping people to heal more. You know, these were the belief systems that were in there that I was accessing that were part of like a lack of love, a lack of loving our own selves first, a lack of validating us exactly as we are. And I could tell that this was a wound space of the mothers and the mothers' mothers and the mothers' mothers' mothers through time and space. And because I am doing enough was in here as well. It also tells me that it's a masculine wound space as well. So it is both a masculine and a feminine wound space of feeling of comparison. And the reality is that there is no comparison. I just am. There's no comparison between me and anyone else. The only person I'm competing with is my own self. And I'm competing with myself. Why? Because I'm trying to receive love or accolades or the right to exist or trying to be seen, trying to be enough. And that's a gift we give ourselves. That's a space we access, and that's a gift we give ourselves. It's that unconditional love that I awakened in the feminines about 2 months ago that's just been accessing these massive wound spaces of the past that we refuse to enter because we didn't have the tools or abilities to clear them, because they're filled with so much sadness and so much grief and so much like lost opportunity and stagnation and like lack of expansion from within. And I could tell that that's what this wound space was. And it was that space of like, I just am. and I looked up the word just, because I was like, what does the word just mean? Like, that's an interesting thing to say. I just am. And just can mean multiple things. If I had my phone here, I'd look it up. Feel free to look up the word just. But in one side, it's a lower frequency word. And in the other side, it means sort of perfection, as in you perfectly are. And that means you're exactly how you're meant to be. And so, can somebody do my therapeutic position better than me? Sure, why not? Can someone do the position that I'm moving into, the managerial position, better than me? Sure, why not? Right? Somebody can do it better and somebody can do it worse, and none of that really matters. What matters is that I am in the position and I did the best that I could, and that the people that came to me got my gifts. And what I saw at this point when I was in there and getting this word, I just am, is I saw this image of these berries. I saw this image of these like raspberries, and they were like so bright and just juicy and delicious looking. And the Godsource said, like, Lisa, does the berry bush worry about who's going to come and take the berries? Does the berry bush worry about whether all the berries are going to get eaten? Does the berry bush worry about whether, certain animals can eat the berries or not eat the berries? And then it was showing me that even if the berries don't get eaten, the berries fall to the ground. And if the berries fall to the ground, then they go back into the earth and they nourish the earth. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, like, what is this? Like, what is exactly was the Godsource showing me here? And I was thinking, what's the purpose of berries, And I was thinking about, what's the purpose of poisonous berries? Berries that can't be eaten. Like, why do they produce the berries if nobody's going to take the berries? And I looked it up, and it turns out that berries that are poisonous to one species is not poisonous to another species. And so berries might be poisonous to humans, but they can be ingested by birds. And one that they talked a lot about was like spicy peppers. And what they said is that birds have no hot sensors. So they'll eat the heck out of spicy peppers and go and poop them out. And so it's like the right person, the right being will always come for the berries. And part of the reason why plants make berries is because the berry is eaten, ingested, and then you take it and you go on your journey, you walk away, or the raccoon walks away, or the bird flies away, and you poop it out and you spread the seeds. So one reason for berries is for spreading seeds. And it was also showing that, and I was thinking about this a while ago, that like when you're planting a garden, the smartest way to plant a garden would be like a berry, like a bird poops, because when a bird poops, there's fertilizer with the seeds, and bird poop seeds grow like crazy. So they grow in places that nothing would ever grow if you planted it yourself. And it's because of the fertilized seeds. And so like when we eat the food and then we poop it out, it's fertilized. But it was also showing that when berries fall off the bush and they go back into the earth, that outside of the berry fertilizes the seed, and then the seed begins to grow. And so it's why does the bush offer its berries? And it makes berries firstly because it's a berry bush. So a berry bush makes berries because that's what it is. So it just is. I just am. You know, why do I come up with patterns and healings and information offerings? Because I just am. It's just part of who I am. It's part of how I exist. Does it make me special? No. It just makes me me. And so it's like, to me, it was like a step back and down. So that's where I oftentimes find that soul space. And it was like a freeing of like, you don't have to strive. You don't have to try so hard. Either somebody takes the berries or they don't take the berries. Either they get the seed or they don't get the seed. And whether they take the seed or not, it's still going to drop to the earth and it's still going to nourish the earth. So like, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. You know, that's brilliant. And thank you so much, plant species. And thank you so much, you know, burying bushes, for giving me this information, knowledge, and wisdom, and for sharing your metaphorical wisdom with me. And thank you so much, Godsource, for caring enough about me that, and for me caring enough about myself that I'm willing to hold that loving space for myself and to access those wound spaces and to give myself love and to receive that information, knowledge, and wisdom, which just gives me more comfort and more sort of closure and more ability to let go of the pain and the suffering of the past. And so I can tell that this is a layer of the old mode of functioning and the old way of existing that the humans are getting ready to let go of. All of that sadness and pain and sorrow and grief and helplessness and hopelessness and sadness and lack that was part of comparison. That was part of thinking like we weren't good enough, that we weren't doing enough, that we don't deserve this, you know. I deserve this. I deserve that job. I deserve the job I was in, and I deserve this job too. And the people around me are going to get the gifts of my berries, and everyone's got berries to offer, and if you want the berries, you'll take the berries. If you don't want the berries, don't take the berries. And either way, I'm not going to stop producing the berries because it's who I am. I'm a berry bush. Awesome. So those are the wound spaces that we're healing in this time period. I don't know if others are feeling this major grief and this major sadness that's coming up in this time period, and just like the beauty of this planet and the beauty of this universe, which for me is like when I was thinking about the berries, and just like that's the other awesome thing about the berries. It was like, you know, there's certain bushes create a certain kind of a berry because they want them spread and then like around them. So certain kind of animals won't traverse as far, and that's where that kind of a bush would create like a sweeter berry or whatever, versus like a poisonous berry to the mammals is going to be, you know, carried further distance by the birds, and then spread the seed that way. And so, like, how magical is this world? Like, it just works so smoothly and in cohesion and together as one. It's just so magical. So not only did I heal a whole bunch of sadness and like old modes of functioning and old ways of existing and the need to strive for something that like I don't have to strive for, and I don't have to feel bad for, and I can just be. I can just be. So, yeah. So I'm just going to clear all of that from our mind, body, spirits, and souls, and I hope that this helps everyone. I mentioned before, and I'm going to mention again, I'll do another video on it, but the information in the first half of these videos is good and all. It's enlightening. But the release is really important to actually clear this from our mind, body, spirits, and souls. If you have a mode of functioning and a way of clearing it yourself, go ahead and clear it yourself. But it's a gift that I'm giving. It's one of those berries. Either take the berry or don't. But it is a gift that I'm giving that is one of my skills and abilities, is to clear these programs, patterns from our mind, body, spirits, and souls. And so it's good to complete the videos from beginning to end. And if you don't, I'm not going to care. I'm just going to be myself anyways, and I'm going to create them exactly how I create them anyways, and you're going to get the growth that you need. You're going to get the nourishment from the berry that you need, and either the seed's going to grow or it's not. And none of that's my business. What's my business is producing the berries. So may you enjoy the berries. Oh, man. So, Source God Mother, I acknowledge and accept everything that we're speaking of so far today. I acknowledge and accept that this major wound space of the humans is coming up in this time period for us to challenge. And we might be noticing it in these thoughts that are trying to circulate or percolate or affect us in some kind of way in regards to our lives and our choices and our gifts and abilities in who you are. And it's going to be saying things like, are you good enough? And things like that. And it's really the darkness. It's the original pain space that's communicating with us and giving us an opportunity to really turn toward it and look right at it and say, what is this? And when I looked right at it and I let myself feel it, I was overwhelmed by waves of sadness. Really deep belly sadness, grief, lack, probably some failure is in here. And it seems like that's a common theme in this time period that we're clearing, is of failure or perceived failure that actually was never failure and only growth and expansion and connection, and a lack of seeing ourselves in a loving way. And that when we access this wound space and we clear this that has not been cleared for who knows 27,500 years, it's a space of lack, and it's a space of comparison and a space of feeling not good enough. And that this is connected to that idea of being special and the triangular way of existing, or the toxic patriarchy, where the only ones that are special are the ones that are at the top. So that is a lie. That is an illusion and delusion. The reality is all are equally important. All are equally valid. All are equally whole. All equally have a role to play. All are equally connected. And that we all have differing gifts and abilities and things that we're good at. And we're meant to be different. We're meant to be unique. And that the Godsource was showing us in the form of the berry bush, that the berry bush doesn't worry about what it's producing. It produces berries because it's a berry bush. It doesn't worry about who's going to come and eat its berries, or if its berries are good enough, or if the berries are going to be spread around. It just worries about, it doesn't even worry. It just is. I just am. As in, I perfectly am. As in, who I am is exactly who I'm meant to be, and it's enough. I am doing enough, and I am enough. And yes, my berry bush is different than all the other berry bushes. So someone who's going to come and eat from my berries is going to have a different experience than someone else that goes and eats from another berry. And it doesn't matter whose berries they eat from, and it doesn't matter if they eat the berries or they don't eat the berries. It doesn't matter if they like the berries or they don't like the berries. It doesn't matter if they're poisonous or they aren't poisonous, right? Like it doesn't matter. It only matters that you're being your true self. It only matters that you're fully existing, and that people will get a flavor of yours and they can go get a flavor of someone else's. That there is no special, there is no one better than anyone else. There's just unique experiences, period. And we're all shifting and we're all growing and we're all doing the best that we can. And then we want to clear those wound spaces, those dynamics, those attacks on others, those that were attacked, those that were special, those that were never special, the expectations of being special, the having to alter yourself, the having to strive so hard, like all of the insanity. That's all insanity. You are enough. You're doing enough. You just am. And I give myself that truth, and I access that truth, and I drop down into that space, and I heal myself in all of those ways, and in all of those waves of sadness, of loss, of what could have been, of what never was, of pain and sadness and sorrow and grief and all of the lack of love that we didn't give ourselves, but we can give ourselves today. The medicine is inside of you, and that we choose to give the medicine to these spaces now. And we clear those old mindsets, those modes of functioning, those ways of existing, those trigger points, those pain spaces. We forgive ourselves if we did this to others, or we promoted others in that way and made them have these toxic patterns within them, or encouraged, let's say, you can't make anybody do anything, but you encouraged it in the others, or you told them like, you're special, you're so special, you need to be special. It's not true. You're unique, you're connected, you're part of a whole. You're different than everyone else. All the bushes are different, and they're all worthy, and they're all deserving of love, and there is no comparison. The only person I'm comparing to is my own self and my old self, and even that I'm not comparing. I'm learning to not do that to my own self and my internal dynamics first and foremost. When we collapse those internal dynamics, we no longer do it in the external dynamics. And I need to collapse that inside of me. I need to not compare myself to anyone else. And I need to know that I just am. And it's enough. And I am enough. And then I'm going to love myself all the way down to that position in my belly, in my Buddha belly, which is a fully connected soul to my body. Heart, brain, soul, body. And I want that. And I clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields, past the DNA and RNA and into the God space of first creation, collapsing the old DNA and RNA back to dust and initiating the new and reconfiguring for each unique blueprint. Clearing, cleansing, and healing all drama, karma, trauma, pulling out the dharma, neutralizing, purifying, cleansing, and healing from the cellular, energetic, and magnetic structures, and from the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious minds, pulling all of that through to oneness, to wholeness, to peace, to truth, to love. Welcoming those helper beings and those helper frequencies into these spaces to continue to help us to access these spaces, to continue to help us to clear these spaces, and to continue to help us to utilize them as we move forward in those good ways. Releasing through the children and up through the ancestral webs, past lifetimes and their webs, and for the collective universal who are open to it at this time, including all planetary systems and on all sides of the veil, in this universe and in the multiverses. We quantum forgive that we didn't know any different, that we didn't know any better, that we've been holding this wound space for a lifetime, that we've been, adding to it, that others have added to it, that, it's been a space of us that's been looking for love for thousands and thousands of years, that our parents and their parents is pain spaces have added to our own, which have terrified us of this space. And then it's nothing to fear. I take back my fear from sadness. I take back my fear from comparison. I take back my fear from my power, and collapse the fear, I should say, of not being good enough, of not being loved by the external realm, of not being good enough to be loved. And those are illusions and delusions. You were never looking for their love. You were always looking for your own. And you just are. You just are good enough. You just are you. And we neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize all of that now through all quantum fields, recognizing that these are healings of the heart and lungs. I could feel heart and lungs in this space, and the sadness was making me cough, like really not be able to breathe well, almost like an asthma, which, there is smoke in the air, which was triggering the histamines and the inflammation. But it's also a fear program of smoke, and a fear program of fires, and a fear program of not being able to breathe. And those are all fear programs of the past. The Godsource always tells me there's enough oxygen, Lisa. You just need to, focus on receiving the oxygen. Like, ask for the oxygen, pull in the oxygen, right? And just soothing ourselves so that we can access that wholeness, so that we can, bring ourselves to safe places creatively and listen to the internal guidance. So we clear, cleanse, and heal all of that as well through all quantum fields of existence, quantum forgiving and quantum purifying, so that we may access our full relationship to ourselves, and then our full access to others, and our full access to, or connection and communication to, the elements and the elementals. I'll just try to sit up right a little bit more, which I'm getting like, oh, look at my halo. I guess my grammar wasn't wrong when she called me Angel. Too funny. Laughter is the best medicine. And we quantum purify back to the Godsource origins. And we welcome those collective healed helpers, those beings of light, those doctors, healers, and nurses in all realms of existence, to continue to purify and alchemize these spaces and drop us into those original blueprints, those original codes, and to continue these healings until completed. And we give so much gratitude and so much thankfulness to those helper beings, to those beings of light that are here with us, helping us, guiding us, loving us, nudging us, helping us to remember, sharing this information, calling our attention to the information, holding that loving space for us as we go into these pain spaces and access this information and alchemize our DNA and RNA and the DNA and RNA of our ancestors, and clearing the old wound spaces of the past from ourselves and the plants and the animals and the air, the earth, the water. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it. And we clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields, and we're opening to receive for best and highest well-being. With the most ultimate of love and gratitude, we choose this. So I choose this, and breathe. I just want to mention too that I put out a video a while ago on the process of purifying, which is something I like to do with the plants and the mineral kingdoms. I like to connect out into that bubble, my toroidal bubble, as far out as my connections and communications can go. And I just hold that loving space and I say, purify, 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 purify the air. And purify doesn't mean clean. It means bring back to the original order. So bring the air back to its original state. And the plants and the mineral kingdom, that's part of their gift, and it's part of their role, is to purify and alchemize and filter that air. And so I'm just encouraging them by choice. I have my universe shirt on. There's a unicorn on it. It's a Unicorn Universe. Yeah, I love those elementals. So, when there's times of fires and times of smoke, a really good thing to do is to purify, and get everybody working together as a team to return us to the origin, not from a state of fear and just alchemizing the fear. Again, it's that fear of not being able to breathe. And what the Godsource says in that state is that sometimes that's a natural experience of humanity. That's those horrors of humanity that I was talking about in 2 videos ago, and that we're doing our best even there, and that happens to humans sometimes, and that we can love ourselves even there, and we can be in wholeness even there, and we need more love even there and more wholeness even there. But as a free will being, why not purify? And that's something I like to do, because I like to connect into the plants and the mineral kingdoms and the animals. And that's one way to practice connection and to use your free will in a way that brings joy to me and joy to all at the same time. So I'm just going to do a quick energetic clearing. So Source God Mother, I clear, cleanse, and heal. I ask that you immediately evolute my systems for best and highest well-being, the systems within me and the systems around me, including all beings within my heart space. I ask that you immediately evolute their systems as well, and that you immediately evolute our frequencies of our feet, so that as we ground down into our feet, we have all of the healing codes, knowledge, wisdom, peace, presence, love, that we need to attain comfort and love and safety, so that we can access that 0 point where our soul connects to our human, so that in our connected state we can make aligned choices that are not only in my best and the highest well-being, but the best and the highest well-being of all. I also ask that you root me from my root chakra all the way down to that universal star, or that earth star, 2 feet below my feet. And that you help me to share my life force frequency, healing codes, wisdom, knowledge, and communication with the natural kingdom, with our family in nature. And that you fractalize those healings through our mind, body, spirit, and soul. We clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields, and we're opening to receive for best and highest well-being. With the most ultimate of love and gratitude, I choose this. So I choose this and breathe. The Godsource is reminding me as I'm doing this healing, when I was doing a healing around death and dying and taking our last breath, it said it's normal for humans to sort of do that life review where you say to yourself, did I do enough? You know, am I letting someone down? Like, am I letting my children down? Am I letting my dog down? And those are kind of the questions that humans always sort of ask themselves at the end, which is actually a distraction from the experience. And what we want to do is just say, you are enough. You are doing enough. You're enough. I love you even here. So in the most terrifying, scary spaces is where we've needed the most love and where we're learning to love ourselves. And because I'm coming to an end with all of these relationships, all of these clients, this old position, it's natural for me to be asking some of those questions about, did I do enough? And right there, I just want to not distract away from the feeling state and love myself in the sadness of letting go, and let myself feel that, and then just say, you know, you are enough, you're doing enough, you just are, and it's enough, and it's okay to let go. And everybody got what they needed from the berries, and they got the nourishment that they needed, you know, and it's enough. And other berries will come and they'll get the nourishment from those berries, and the seeds will grow or the seeds won't grow, you know, but I did my part. I was the berry bush, and it's enough. And so that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you, God. And thank you, berry bush. Thank you, plant kingdom. I appreciate you. Thank you for loving me in this space, and thank you for giving me this information. So just check in. If you're feeling lightheaded, please ground me to my feet, to the insides of my feet, which should bring you immediately into your heart center. That's a code. And we'll just take an etheric breath. So I'll take an etheric breath. We can send some an etheric breath to the fires, wherever they're at, to the people in the fires, to the plants, the animals, to people in war, to people that are suffering, people who haven't found their truth, people who aren't loving themselves into wholeness. You know, we can just breathe in that etheric breath for anybody who's needed healing, like Evie or little Clyde and his family. So here we go, an etheric breath. And just intending that energy to go to the people who need it most. It's pure love, purity. And then an etheric breath for ourselves. Just rejuvenating ourselves. And please trigger my vagus nerve now. I'm already pretty relaxed, but I can feel that. Whoo, thank you, vagus nerve. Thank you, mothering nerve. Thank you for mothering me. Thank you for relaxing me and comforting me. Thank you, thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here today and doing this work and facing these spaces. I know these are really hard spaces to hold and face. It takes a lot of courage and strength and unconditional love for yourself. So way to go. If you have any comments, if there's anything I touched on that you'd like me to talk more about, please put them below. If you saw any visions while we were doing the clearing or while I was sharing the information, please share it below so that the community can benefit from all of our gifts. If you know somebody that can use this video, please feel free to share it to them now. And please ring that bell. Please subscribe because it helps the information to get out to the people that need it the most. So when you subscribe, you're sharing the berries. Awesome. So peace be with all of you. May you all get the peace that you're looking for. And lots of love from me and the plant kingdom and the sun and the sunshine. And from Evie. Until next time. Bye.